And I really rate that. He doesn't have a phone. So if his wife wants to get hold of him, impossible.
DDS tenants or maybe like crackheads, and it's going to be a complete shambles on society.
How and why would you get started in HMOs?
HMOs could be the saving grace to the housing issue we have in the UK, and I'm seeing it firsthand.
Literally, I thought you were going to tell us you were pregnant or you get married. You're like, I've got some news to tell you guys, or you're leaving the country or something, and it was just like, yeah, no, I'm fucking stoned, man.
Round up sound, ooh, yeah. Real estate deals. We lay them down, let's get those deals. Deals making money, baby.
Right, welcome back. Episode 19 of the Ground Up podcast. Just to preempt you, in this episode, it's going to be very much a visual podcast. We're going to go through, it's a HMO special, so we're going to go through top to bottom some of the HMO schemes we've done. We're going to look at floor plans. We're going to go through our Matterport surveys and talk about the systems and bits and bobs we put in our HMOs, the economics of HMOs. So this is HMO heaven. So I hope you enjoy this episode. HMO Master Class, baby.
That's it.
And it's free.
Let's fucking go.
Already.
We're doing well.
We're three off being Dorian's multi-millionaire subscribing channel, which is apparently 21 episodes, takes us to the stratosphere.
1%.
Big D couldn't be with us this morning. He's looking after the kids, so he'll be back on next week's episode. And in this one, we're going to switch up a little bit because we are the HMO gang here. So we thought we'd dive into some HMO discussion. And I think you two were going to share the screen on some stuff. I could share screens on other bits as well, but one of you want to kick us off?
HMO special. Should we start off with
Jack said this morning, the first thing is like, oh yeah, let's use one of our Matterports. I'm like, I don't pay for those, mate. I get still photos and that's it. They can be used forever. It's a great idea to do it, and I should, but at the end of every HMO project, I don't want to spend $2,500 on a Matterport to get the final finish.
We grew a HMO portfolio through COVID, and if we didn't have Matterport walkthroughs, our competitors would have easily got the edge because our tenants were taking the rooms off a Matterport, and that's it. When you have a static photo, you have no perspective of how the room feels, looks, opens, closes, goes in, goes out, ensuite, location in the building. So I just feel it's a must. Obviously, we've got the kit ourselves in XP surveys. So
if you can get a giraffe, so you can get a giraffe if you want a basic one. It's like 350 quid a month, easy. And if you're doing multiple projects, it's diluted across those projects. It's very cheap to get. And
Jack, what is Sorry, I was going to say, what's the cost that you charge out then? Do you just do a Matterport survey? I don't know what they cost. They're the same as like a 3D survey, or are they a bit cheaper?
Normally about 200 to 400 quid, depending on how big the property is. And then there's a monthly standing charge, which we have to pay to Matterport to host it. And it's like, I think our monthly charge is 8 quid a month per like listing, or something along those lines. But yeah, our team can quote anything, but we also like it for before and afters. So if we do a measured survey, we'll do the Matterport on the measured survey so we can see what's there before. And then obviously do one post it being dressed and finished. The one that we keep is the dressed and finished one. We normally just take a profile of the prerequisite one. And yeah, I think they're an absolute game. I mean, we'll share a Matterport video on here shortly.
Yeah, go on. Yeah, how do you want to start?
The question what I was going to ask you guys is like HMO special. Let's just start with how and why would you get started in HMOs before we go into like an actual deal and looking at it.
Yeah, I'll start. So obviously, well, this was again since COVID. I really understood the value of passive income, and HMOs are the perfect strategy for let them forget on a mass scale. So you can have 4, 5, 6 people. But I try and stay under the HMO sizes. I know Ryan tries to go for the larger HMOs, but in the towns I work in, they're really against effectively, unless you've got loads of parking, loads of outdoor space, which is almost the opposite of what you want to look for HMO. You want the biggest size building you can find with the minimum amount of garden space, because that is all going to ultimately come out. Your OPEX cost is the management of the garden. So we're always looking for oversized buildings on smaller plots where it's easy to maintain. But it's just the cash flow rather than having it on a single let cost. You're renting it out by the room. If you do a nice finish with a little kitchenette, you're often getting a premium. Sort of anything in our area is between 800 and 1,300 quid a room. And we're coming to that point now where if interest rates come down, inflation is going to go up, and obviously the yields on these, because they're priced slightly differently as well. When you first start off in HMOs and you haven't got any experience or haven't got anything in your company, they'll basically give you a bricks and mortar valuation most of the time. And then once you've got one or two, they'll start looking at hybrid models and start giving you a sort of a slightly inflated bricks and mortar price based on the cash flow. And then after you've done quite a few, or you're doing sort of a blended refinance on a 6-bed and a 5-bed, or a 6-bed and a 2-bed flat, or you can sort of package up these titles, then you can get a total commercial valuation, which is based on the yield that the income of the building's producing. So if you've got a lower yield, the value of the building is increased, so you can get often a lot more than what you've put in at the end of it, because you're tying into a 5-year fix based on the cash that the building's producing. And the valuation will always be done on size of room, finish. These little kitchenettes are ideal, in my opinion. Everyone I've done so far, unless it's a student HMO, has got these little kitchenettes in, and it just opens up the market for people to go, well, I'm looking at 10 that are on the market. Yours is the only one that's got a little kitchenette. It's got a little fridge in it, and they're great because they cost 800 quid. It's a one-off fee. It turns up, you plug it in effectively, you put your waste in, hot and cold in, and one power point, which you can
use
to pack test. Elfin kitchens, yeah. So it's just get a little discount from them because we buy, obviously quite a few from them now, and they're just a one-off block. I did try looking at working with Howdens and our contact down there to see if we can sort of make these things out of units, but it just wasn't worth the time, the energy, and you can for the amount of floor space you lose. These are 1 meter wide and 600 deep. You can often design that in and around or next to a wardrobe or off the back of the shower room, which I'll go through. Literally, I've just got HMO we're just completing on in a week's time, which to me is like the perfect type of deal, especially if I get 100% commercial valuation on it.
Stu, do you do standalone wardrobes or do you do built-in wardrobes?
A bit of it depends on how the space permits. If I've got a square box and it doesn't have to be built in, then I'll normally just do an IKEA or a Dunelm kitchen. Depend on the bed size and the finish, and depend on the stock when I need it. I'll buy from one of those because we'll build it in, we'll screw it to the wall, and generally 5 years now I haven't changed one wardrobe, so they're as long as they're built well and they're screwed to the wall, you're not gonna have a problem. But if you've got like a little bit of a niche or an alcove that sort of makes sense to just put a liner in it, plaster the cupboard, put a pole in it and a door, then we'll build it in. So I'm not that fussed.
We're the same. We sometimes find some rooms have a little cubby that's a shit use of space, so we build one in. But ones that don't, we'll do a freestanding one, because then also you can actually, I know a built-in wardrobe lasts technically forever. You can also use a little bit of a design change as they sort of roll through their cycle of what they look like and how the room feels.
But the key with HMOs is the layout, and that's the fun bit of any developer. So you can sort of plow through these HMOs, and you can. I know we could have literally just stuck to HMOs, and I'd have been quite happy with the cash flow, because the amount of energy you have to put into a HMO versus the cash flow is better than building a block of 9 flats that you're going to refinance and keep, because the yield is lower. You make less cash. You actually make less cash on the flats, but that's a long-term play to hold them for sort of 10, 20 years, because the capital appreciation and the resale of them will be a lot better in the future than a HMO. And the value of a HMO is pretty much going to be the bricks and mortar valuation when you come to sell it, which is effectively a 4 or 5 bed house, depending on how you've designed it. And that's how the HMO that's how the councils look at HMO regulations, is that they don't want you to oversize or overscale these effectively residential houses. That's why the class is the same, because they know that if you decide to use it for HMO for 20 years and then someone else wants to come in and buy it as a house, all they're doing is taking out a bathroom or two, redesigning the kitchen, which most people would do in a residential envelope anyway. So that's why they're quite relaxed on 6-bed HMOs, is that it can be used for different purposes in the future. It doesn't really affect the housing stock in the UK.
Yeah, I think that it is interesting to see the cost analysis on the sort of built-in units, sort of media desk hybrid spaces. Because I know you use the Elfin. We originally did standalone stuff, but we've now just switched everything. So rolling out on all our new specs is built-in IKEA stuff with a hybrid of the Howdens worktops, and then the appliances we can then stack into the IKEA shelf. And we've got it like a 1.5 wide, and then customize the desk, and the desk could even be somewhere else. But now we're maximizing the volumetric space for storage, where the standalones just can't do that, and standalones just will break. So the cost, like over like annualized for the next 10 to 15 years, is probably like a third of the price, even though the install price is higher than just a standalone. But it's just such a better quality, and you can get
Just
way more in the different in like the lock.
a little plug for Howdens. They've just started doing their built-in wardrobe units as
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
So you
yeah.
can literally go and buy for 600 quid the double hanging, the 3 drawers built in, built over 1.2, 1.5 meters. So you can almost just go there, flat pack, build the whole thing in one go. So you've got the rigidity, but it means you can just get everything plastered and finished, and then build that, strap it to the wall.
We
And
priced them as well.
I don't really see the issue of people breaking wardrobes and stuff. If they're built well, these ones in IKEA and stuff, they're actually pretty good. They're not as flimsy as
Yeah.
you'd think.
Yeah, we priced the Howdens ones as well, but they're just way more expensive than the IKEA ones.
Yeah, but if you're looking for OBEX and sort of let them forget and leave it there for 10 years, I think they would last quite a lot longer than the IKEA ones, but who knows? For instance, if you've got a design that I'm not really led by the wardrobe finish, I'm led by the space and how it's going to feel and flow. So giving the tenant as many options to put a desk, or some of the tenants we've got, I mean, these are professional tenants as well. Like, people think HMOs have got a bit of a name for DDS tenants, or maybe like crackheads, and it's going to be a complete shambles on society, where 100% of my tenants are great. They're all between low 20s and late 20s. There's some older females that like in their mid 40s, but the young professionals that have come out of uni that want to live in an area that's just too expensive, and they have no interest in running or renting a house, or buying something at the moment. But they all work from home, and they've got these huge computer stations that they want to put next to a desk. And they want 2 PowerPoints in certain locations. So just by doing more, you get a bit of a flavour for the type of people that HMOs attract, and then we just try and cater for that. Every time someone moves in, we're like, well, what are you looking for? And we go back to our customers. Like, before we finish this one, we'll go back to our sex shop Chinese, which we just finished, and we'll ask all the tenants there how they're finding it. They've been there for 6-7 months now. We'll just find out if there's anything that we can have improved on. Like the double cupboards on the flats, different story. But we went back to our tenants and said, I wish could have more storage. So now we build in 2 cupboards in every design, whether it's a 1 bed or a 2 bed, to make sure they've got a full sort of 1 square meter space for all of their shit they want to hide away and don't want in a wardrobe in their bedroom or something else. So just constantly always making the product as best as you can. But it's the fun part, designing HMOs. That's the addictive bit, is because it's so good to sit or space plan, work out where you want everything, work out everything from the radiators, the vents, the extractor fans, work out all your plumbing and routes out. This is stuff that takes time to really specialize in. But once you've mastered all that, you can send that to your architect team, get a full set of almost Meccano-like drawings, and then issue that to all your trades. And then on the back end of that, you'll get a much better product built in half the time. Which means you can refinance it, you can start cash flowing and start on with the next one.
I think another reason, just to add to the why doing HMOs, they are a necessity product for times of necessity. And we are in a time of huge necessity where we have a massive housing shortage. We've got too many people coming into this country. The net migration is insane. Nowhere to put them. It's so hard to build flats in comparison to HMO because of the red tape and the available stock on the market, where there's lots of these old tired houses and tired landlords, and you can pick up this stock pretty much everywhere, but it's getting it in the right location. And then you turn that from what would be like a small family in there, or even just a distressed asset that no one's using, and you turn that into 6 different almost self-contained little units bar the kitchen, then it rents all day long, and it answers a housing demand. It helps local economies, local communities. HMOs could be the saving grace to the housing issue we have in the UK, and I'm seeing it firsthand with the impact we have with these small towns. Like, people are so grateful to have somewhere to live, even if it is a HMO, but it's frugal, so they like it. They like sharing because it's cheaper. So
it's way more cost effective. We actually do, because a lot of people look at HMO room and think it's more expensive than anything else. But if we're charging $8.50 per room, and technically that person gets a 12 to 18 meter squared bedroom, and then 50 meters squared of communal hallways, kitchen, utility, dining, cinema room, whatever it may be. So they've actually got, like almost equal space to a 1 or 2 bedroom flat to themselves. If you think about it as like shared space. And if they were to do that, for example, in our locations, $850, $900 a bedroom, all in. So that's all bills, that's everything. They only pay for rent when they stay there. There's no lock-in and 12, it could be a lot more flexible. But a 1-bedroom flat, where we are, is about $1,200 plus council tax plus bills. They're $2,000 in before they've even got anything anywhere near as good quality. So that because we do back to brick redesign and renovation, which we'll show you, it's way more better product for way less cost. And there's the social element. A lot of people relocate to our areas, don't know anyone outside of work, so they want that social aspect, and they go out for a Sunday roast with each other on a Sunday. They do the odd week where they go back to their hometown and visit their parents, whatever it may be. But it is
go
their new
traveling
life.
for 3 weeks. It's a home base, isn't it? It's the home base for them to leave their shit to get on with experiences that life can offer them while they're young.
For sure.
I've been doing some private one-to-one on Zoom with some people off of Instagram, and one of the guys called Dan, he listens to the podcast, and he's a lovely guy, but he had bought a property for his family, effectively his trust that he was doing to support his mum and dad, and the house he bought, he was going to put 2 flats in it. We spoke and said, like, you really need to make this into a 5-bed HMO. If you're going to try and cash flow this, you really want to use that as a good site to do. And his parents weren't sold on a HMO, so I said, right, bring them down and we'll go and see a few of our HMOs and just show them the finish. And they had this perspective as well of HMOs being a bit groggy, run down. They sort of run our HMOs, and they were totally sold on it, because until you actually go into a HMO and see a finish, it's almost like you're a guest staying at a hotel, because it should be lovely and clean and a nice workable space. And if it's a HMO that's just not designed to be a HMO, it shouldn't be turned into a HMO. Like, that's why you've got minimum space standards of 7.5 square meters a room, because that is just literally on the cusp of being acceptable, in my opinion. I wouldn't really, unless it's a student HMO and you're just trying to get 4 or 5 rooms in it, you want to be looking at 10, 12, 15 square meters. That gives them almost like a studio flat type of style of living. And it's also good for the community, sharing with other people that are like-minded. You sort of build new friendships through those circles as well. So
we actually have had tenants that have moved in not knowing each other, so they've met in our houses that have then gone on to live together in a 2-bedroom flat, or like go in on a property to get like a bigger house. So we've actually created that sort of relationship. One thing we actually do, Stu, similar to what you've said, is we actually show all of the neighbours around the HMO. We normally do an open day.
Nice.
It's because we had the project that I'm going to show you. We had a neighbour that was being so difficult. We put in, I don't know if it was a planning application. I can't remember now because it was years ago. But anyway, she was. Oh no, it was on a Facebook. Yeah, the keyboard warrior. It was a Facebook comment on I wrote I think it was my brother wrote a question about just completely something general, and she had found the company that we were, and started keyboard warrioring. And actually, what we then decided to do is, well, we're going to do an open day when everything's finished, so we'd love for you to come around and have a look at the property so you can see what it is. Her main qualm was that there'll be lack of parking, because you've got a property that's in an estate of 50 houses, and 6 bedrooms. Are we going to have 6 cars, 6 bikes, 6 plus their partners? But we actually, when we onboard tenants, because the supply and demand is so high in our area, we can actually cherry pick the right tenants with the right requirements. And we actually believe that we use less parking than a family. If you've got a family that got 2 teenage kids that are still living at home, that's normally 4 or 5 cars. We average 1 to 2 cars per house, and we always fit bike racks so that people can safely store their bikes and use bikes, because we want to encourage that. It's easier for everyone, easier for us. We actually we do an open day with all investors, friends, family, and also neighbours, and they love it. They actually completely turn a 180, and even once the tenants are living there, they really do love what that building has then become.
Yeah, we just had last week. I mean, it happens all the time. Neighbours, if you're doing HMOs, anyone out there, or you want to do HMOs, just be prepared for neighbours, because neighbours will find out what you're doing. Even if you try and keep it under the radar, they'll just eventually find out. And a bit of a mixed bag of responses, but we had a typical one last week where actually the client was up to come and see the progress on it, and the neighbour opened the door and just asked, "Are you the owner?" And he went, yeah, I'm the owner. And I was like, "What are you doing next door?" And she knew what we were doing, and said, "It's a 6-bed HMO, isn't it?" And then he went, yeah, it's going to be a 6-bed HMO, a really nice one. She went, "You're fucking scum. You're scum. You fucking dirt." Like, literally going off at him. And then he went, and then she just slammed the door. Inside she goes. So that's just a response you can get. Like, some people just, no matter what you say, they'll hate it. But once it's finished, and then maybe she'll pop in. And sometimes we try the lads and the lads on site, or if Jeff's there, they'll try and make sure that the neighbours can be at peace, because you need neighbours on your side as much as possible, because you're making loads of noise and things like that. You can get complaints, and we'll try and show them it at the end of a project. Sometimes they just want fuck all to do with it. They're just like, just leave me alone. Don't want anything to do with it. And some people, actually, on another one we finished that we stuck on the YouTube, the lady from opposite came in. Bit ironic, because she said, I really want to see it, but she's blind. So not quite sure how that worked. But she could partially see. So we helped her in the house and just sort of showed her around slowly. She's quite an elderly lady. And she could see like rough blurs. And she was like, so is that the kitchen over there? And is that the TV on the wall? And she was loving it. She was like, oh, it's amazing, because the house was awful. So it actually improved the street scene. It's now one of the nicest houses on the street. And she was so grateful, which is such a stark difference to this other lady that was an absolute nightmare about it.
You're never gonna please everyone, which is a shame. But yeah, and again, I had an old customer in Guildford, actually our first HMO, and it started off with him assuming we were moving in, me and my wife. And I never said yes or no. I didn't know how to deal with this. I just was like, yeah, we're going to crack on, do the loft, do the extension, all the rest of it. Then I think it kicked in. He was really nervous. He didn't get angry, but he was like, he went a lot shorter sentences, and he was very much like, it was tea, coffee, biscuits at the start. And then 4 weeks in, it was like 5 weeks in, it was like, no, none of that. I don't want to talk to you. And the guy could shoot your ear off. Lovely guy, but my God, you don't want to get caught outside. So anyway, we finished it.
If he's chewing your ear off, he's done well. You're probably both fucking going at each ears at the same time.
Yeah.
You're right, mate. You're right, mate. Yeah,
You turn up, the builders outside chatting over a cup of tea. You think you've been there an hour, definitely. But ultimately, we got him finished. And now he absolutely loves it, because every year, because obviously, if you build a good quality product, you can choose your tenants. And we put in the right people who aren't going to cause us an issue, who think they're going to gel. We do, and the student ones we do under one AST. So you've basically got everyone on joint and several. The best thing about student HMOs is you don't pay the council tax, because they're exempt from it. You don't have to pay the heating bills and gas, electricity, because that's all put on the tenant, because it's one AST. They deal with all that. And the management agency we use, they deal with all that and sort all that out for the students as well. But he loves it, because every year he gets another 5 people that move in, and they're often a mixed bag, or mostly predominantly females who seem to want to pay a little bit more to have their own bathrooms and stuff. And he just loves it, and he chats to them all day long, every day, and then he knows they're moving out and wishes them well, and then the next group move in. So it can turn good. But my question to you two was, do you think there is a wrong location for HMOs?
Yes.
I think everywhere is a good location for HMOs, as long as you've got the parking if you're away from transport. But I'd love to hear what you guys think.
Depends how you're measuring that. If you're measuring it financially, then definitely there's better and worse places for HMOs. If you just want to, like, in theory, can you fill the rooms at any value, then they probably do work almost anywhere. And I think Jack's actually an interesting case study for that, because you do some in like quite small little villages and things like that.
Our rule is above 15,000 population.
Yeah.
So Henley on Thames is just above that. So it's a high value small town. But
do you do any in Henley?
You're targeting 20-year-olds up to really probably 40-year-olds, which makes 30 to 40% of the population. So if you think about it, if you're like, I want to grow a 100-bed portfolio, which is quite a significant portfolio, and you're in an area that's 15,000 people, that's 5,000 people of that age bracket that are in that location, really roughly. So if you can't fill 100 beds out of 5,000 people, your product shit or your marketing shit. There is the demand for it. So that's our rule anywhere, and I will say though that location in Henley is we're £600-700 a square foot exit value. So it is difficult to make high cash flowing assets there. It works, but it's more difficult. Whereas Abingdon, we're buying in at £250 a square foot and we get the same rent. So it depends whether you want asset capital appreciation or whether you want cash flow. We like to pick 2 areas and do both, because they both sort of complement each other.
I think genuinely, in theory, they work. But I think if you're looking at that best investment case, and generally people doing HMOs are going for cash flow, then there is a location that's right and a location that's wrong. But I think the main arbiter for a good and bad location is just how desirable the street is. If it is a rough as toast street, like, you're somewhere in your neck of the woods, that would be some of the streets in Slough, like a Sippenham or somewhere like that, then are you going to get good tenants in there? Is it going to cause you a lot of headaches for what it's worth? Blah, 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 compared to going a few streets over or the next borough over and going for slightly higher capital values, but you're going to get nicer tenants in those streets. So I think that's definitely something to be aware of, because a lot of people initially, when they get into HMOs, they think, oh, I just saw this house. It's like 60 grand. That would be great. I can get 5 rooms out of it. It's like, yeah, but you're in like, Scumsville, and you're not going to exactly get the right tenants in there, and you're probably going to have the place burned down. Like, there's just things to think about for location. I think it does have to be bang on the nail.
On that argument with cash flow versus capital appreciation, I actually argue, try and get your head around this. I actually argue that a higher value capital appreciation area is higher cash flow, but you just have to wait for it. And what I mean by that is, if you're refinancing every asset after 5 years, which is normally when you do a 2 or 5 year fixed, and you're in a high capital appreciation area, when you do get to the 5-year marker, your cash flow return on that refinance can be way stronger than the cash flow you would generate in a low value capital area for the 5 years that you're running it. It's kind of like high monthly cash flow or high decade cash flow, in my opinion. So it depends on how you look at how you want to grow.
But also your gearing appetite, right? Like our plan is to try and not maximize LTVs over time and keep our loan balances the exact same, and try and reduce that LTV against them over time, so that we're not gearing them up back to 75% and back to 75%, back to 75%, which is obviously a strategy. And I know that we've spoke about on this podcast before that it's good to have equity value in the assets for weatherproofing your asset, your portfolio for the long term. But actually, when banks do get desperate, sometimes they'll actually target landlords who have more equity in their assets, because there is more to take from them, which is sort of another argument. But if you take that equation out of it, then the cash flow versus the interest rates in those scenarios, if you're at the end of that 5-year fix and you've got a higher cap value, then generally you're going to feel that pinch a lot more, right? So there's a bit of a balance left and right.
I have no problem refinancing everything. I've got a 75% loan to value every 5 years. And I think that's what I do, is I look at that capital appreciation and the cash flow per month, and then do a blended take on what that has been over the last 60 months. And I generally find that the areas we work in, home counties of London, is great, because you get the best of both worlds. You get good yields. People are happy to live there. Good train links into London within half an hour. And you've got great capital appreciation, which is not as strong as London, but it's the next best thing in my opinion. But there's strategies out there. If you're going to buy on a wrong road, or you're going to buy in if you buy a house for 60 grand and you can get 250 quid a room, and you've got DDS tenants, or you're going to send it on to whoever is the demographic for that particular area, sure, that's still going to cash flow okay. I mean, there's I don't do them strategies, but surely HMOs can work everywhere. If you're away from transport leaks, you've got parking, whether you want to do it or not.
Is the rental amount, isn't it? And the type of tenant you'll get in there, how much headache will you have? We've got obviously Vicky in the lettings, and she's been in lettings for 7 years, and at the old place she was at, they sort of took on anything at one point, and they had portfolios in some rough areas, and they rented, but they were a fucking nightmare to manage, just a nightmare. Always noise complaints, always issues, always antisocial issues, always police turning up, because they're just bad properties, which is another thing. If they built them right and they built a good quality asset in a not so great area, you maybe could still attract a slightly better caliber of tenant. But so quality's got something to do with it as well. Quality, location, the asking rent. There's quite a few variables with HMOs. They aren't as simple as just build the rooms there and they will come. You do kind of want to think about your strategy if you're going to go for the higher specs, or some people target DSS, some people do social housing HMOs, which I think are wrong, because they just destroy street scenes, and they're not necessary as much as private sector rental stock is. But the HMOs are kind of a mixed bag. Or you go for big ones or smaller ones. We try and target 6 as much as we can, but we do have quite a few 7 and 8 beds that knock about. But 6 is a happier medium, because some people will think that, well, you get more rooms, I'll make more money. Well, actually, because you've got more rooms, it's slightly less desirable for the end user. So will you get the best quality tenants in an 8 bed? They'd probably rather share with 4 or 5 if they had the option. So many ways to think about it. What do you think then? Personally
feel like we do some semi-generous stuff, but I much prefer. I actually prefer 4, 5, and 6 beds, but I think since interest rates have gone up, it's difficult to make 4 and 5 beds work anymore. At this moment in time, as that starts to come down, it will get a bit easier. We've got quite a few 4 beds.
It depends where you are in the country, though.
Very true.
Do you know what I mean? But I agree with the 4 beds. I think 4 beds, regardless of rates and the impact on the capital values and how much you have to pay each month on interest, just that if you have a vacant room on a 4 bed, you're pretty much just breaking even. So, whereas a 5 bed is just going to be like that bit more advertising.
So we start showing some projects.
Go on, let's have a fucking gander.
Yeah, I'll let's see if this works.
Baby, like your.
Do me go, Jack? I've got mine lined up, but
I think
before you show off for your Matterport, oh, he's got it.
I can't see you guys anymore, so just tell me if I'm showing the wrong thing.
You look great.
No, good.
Cool. So this is a project that won an award in Henley-on-Thames. So in a location that's, as we mentioned, about 17,000 population. Like Stuart said, you kind of want something that's got very little outdoor space and as much space indoor as possible. This property was stuck on the market because it's basically a sort of 2 up, 2 down house that was extended to the side before we bought it. And then was also extended at the rear because the prerequisite owner actually worked on boats in the back. So it's a really upside down house, really bottom heavy, and was stuck on the market. It was on the market at 600k to sell as a family home, but there was only 3 bedrooms upstairs. This was obviously an extension part to create a bedroom. This footpath cuts through the garden to the house to get to other houses. So this is the garden here, and it also comes with a garage, which is there.
That's awkward.
Yeah, so it's a really awkward little house. Obviously, these ones are more natural, front drive, go through the house, rear garden, etc. But this is just basically a weird monster of a house.
Like an afterthought, wasn't it, on the land?
Is the floor plans. So can you see those now?
Yeah.
Cool. So left-hand side is what we bought, what was existing. So as I mentioned, 3 bedrooms upstairs, workshop where the guy worked on his boat, a little family room for the kids, kitchen, breakfast room, a dining room, and then a really long, weird sitting room. And this just goes to show how you can adapt to make something so well repurposed for something that it wasn't actually built for. So if you now look on the right-hand side, you will notice that we created a new ensuite bathroom for bedroom 1 at the top, which was only a WC. We turned the main bathroom into obviously a 3-piece bathroom. Bedroom 2 and bedroom 3 stayed very similar. And then downstairs we played around with the space really. So we relocated the door into where was the family room to create this new lobby. Then we've got the 5th and 6th bedroom where they're both ensuite bathrooms. Bedroom 4 has an off-suite. We always do an off-suite because if someone has someone to come visit, you don't want to walk through a bedroom to go to the toilet. So we've got an off-suite here just opposite the utility and laundry. Little tip for utility and laundry, always have 2 machines. So rather than having a combi washer dryer, because only one person can use it at one time, have a separate washing machine, separate dryer, so that people can use two loads can be done at any given time. Shared kitchen with double ovens, double fridge, all of the nice stuff, dishwasher. We've then got a dining room, which we have a sofa and a table that can seat everyone in the house. That's a 6-person dining room, which I'll show you. And then we created this snug, which is actually a cinema room in here. I'll sort of share with you some of the sort of tips that we integrate with the property. So as you can see, no planning required because it's all under the same envelope of the existing building. I think the build came in at about 18k per bed on this property, which is super light because we weren't doing a lot of structural reconfiguration, and it was to some degree sort of back to brick. We did have to do a lot of work on the building, but we managed to keep the costs fairly good. We actually got a revaluation of 800k on this, so we actually ended up buying it for 500. Our purchase costs were about 50k, finance costs were about 50k, so we're all in for about 700, and then refinanced it at 800. So
Jack, just quickly on that. So when you say you're 18k a bed, just for the listeners, you're taking all the amenities, all the kitchen, and then you're dividing that by the amount of bedrooms as well as doing the bedrooms, aren't you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Just for clarity.
Good.
Yeah, it's good.
So
Textbook.
we'll take a little walk around through the house. So this is the front door, and you can immediately see this front bedroom as you come in. But I'll come back to that later. L2 fire system, which is obviously a requirement. We always try and keep the access from the bedrooms easily out to the front door by keeping the protection route as best possible.
What's their reason? Sorry, mate. What was their reason for making you put in the fire panel?
We always fit the fire panels because we believe that it's going to come into play. That it's going to have to be a requirement for any size of HMO. So we always put it in.
Yeah,
that
up
L2
here it's still go on.
I was going to say that L2, or there's like an LD, there's like different codes, but the one we put in on everyone is heat detectors in every room that's all interlinked, and then a smoke detector in each room that's separated. So if they burn a bit of toast, they know about it. But if there's a physical fire, the whole house knows about it.
Yeah.
And then that all goes to an alarm panel, which gets monitored, and you have to have then a fire strategy that you have to then maintain every is it every month, I think, or every 6
fire
months?
logs,
yeah. And then you got emergency lighting, which is not needed in some HMOs and is needed in some others.
There's the emergency lighting. So you will also see in all of the communal areas we have PIR sensors for all of the lighting, so that no one has to be responsible for turning on and off the lights. You'll see here we've got a gas meter box here, loads of shoe storage, and enough hangers for everyone to have at least one jacket. So going on into the sort of utility area and kitchen. So these are the utility cupboards that I was mentioning. Additional storage, little top tip. Make sure you get the high capacity storage cupboards. You'll notice normal kitchens have little short cupboards, but we go full height so that people don't put cereal boxes on top and it looks ugly, but they've got still the full height of storage for their kitchen space. Coming through here, you will see...
And one wall cupboard per room is the minimum space standards, plus half a metre of worktop. So it's just nice to give them all a drawer each, or all a cupboard each.
Yeah, I would suggest when you're doing your design, pull up the local space standards requirements that you may need. So we've got a little breakfast bar here so people can eat while they're chatting to their friends while they're cooking. Obviously, the kitchen's fairly standard. I'll come to that shortly, but I'll just show you the off suite quickly. So this is the shared bathroom. So it's actually for the bedroom, which is number 4 bedroom, but it's also used by people that are visiting to use that bathroom too.
Smart, mate. That smart. I like what you've done behind the. You've got 2 mirrors in there, so you've got a cabinet mirror.
Yeah, so one for over there. Yeah. So a little top tip so these tiles, if you actually get a angle grinder and cut down grooves, and then you actually still use the same grout, that is one complete tile, which is really easy to do, and it saves all the fiddliness. So a little top tip on that. We always try and use really nice larger shower trays. We do have quite hard water where we are, so if you do use black finished shower units, make sure you put a water softener in, because you're saving cleaning time. So we've actually got a little condensed water softener. We've got them 2 in the system. They look like a Coke bottle within the copper piping. Obviously,
Sorry, Jack, just before we move on. So the ensuite that's shared, an off suite that someone is physically paid for a room, are they just buying a bedroom with a shared facility that's not dedicated? You're saying because obviously guests come over.
Yeah, this shower is dedicated to them. So they're the only person that needs to use that shower. Everyone else has their own. This toilet is when people are visiting, and this bathroom. So we do cleaning every week in our properties as part of the rent, and this bathroom gets cleaned as part of that. So as a result, we actually let this room at the equivalent of an ensuite, because they get their own bathroom cleaned. But the cost of a tenner, for someone to clean that once a month, is well worth it. And it obviously makes it a lot more, valuable.
Exactly what I was going to ask is what discount do you have to give on the basis that if I was sharing a bathroom that I own,
because we say,
and then they keep their toothpaste out and they keep their shampoo bottles, and it's just obviously using it. They just use it and then just expect other strangers to go in there and use their ensuite and wash their hands and use their towels and stuff.
Just the toilet and sink, just the toilet and sink.
For a run.
Another top tip for flooring. So this is LG, like the TVs, laminated vinyl tile flooring, which has got a 25-year manufacturing wear guarantee. They're really cost effective because you can actually heat up the tackifier that's underneath, take out one board and replace it. We pretty much use the same colors across our portfolio, and we put them everywhere downstairs, especially areas where you're walking and it might be wet in the winter, for an example. So this stuff cleans up perfectly in any scenario. You can pretty much drag a fridge across this and it won't damage it. And it's really, really good flooring. We also obviously use it in our en-suites. We don't use tiles in our en-suites because they crack, they age, they date. The grout gets dirty. And if you obviously think about where this can get mopped, it's a lot easier because there's no thresholds or change of flooring, which normally catches dirt, soil, hair, whatever it may be. So it's all completely flush throughout the whole ground floor. We do obviously do we do carpets in some of the ground floor bedrooms, but we believe that this bedroom is too close to the front door, and that carpet would get absolutely ruined. So that is why we don't put carpets on that ground floor, for an example. If we have another ground floor that might be further away from the front door, we might consider doing carpets, but we'll share that. So kitchen, living space, double appliances, double hood, dishwasher, double fridge. We just supply very basic stuff, as you can sort of see: kettle, toaster. One thing that is really important to consider is there is no requirement for drawers. So even though the council requirements might be a certain space or storage or appliance unit, make sure you put in enough drawers for your tenants. This is actually a Howden's kitchen. You can see we've gone for base grey, white walls. We like the two-tone. We think it looks really good. And sort of like a ripple effect subway, small tile. We make sure that we always tile kitchen splashbacks because it is going to get used 6 times a day. And that is just the nature of it. And if you think a normal household normally gets cooked on once a day, we also like light tiles and dark grout because the grout is the part that gets dirty. And if you do dark grout, it doesn't sort of change in color. So if we used white grout in this kitchen, you'd have a black sort of mark up the back of the cooker where it's constantly being used and ruined. These are actually some doors that we recycle.
Why use grout at all?
Sorry?
Why use grout at all? This is exactly what I'm going through now. What I was doing last night. It's like, actually, I'm going to not have a tiler on our next site at all. I'm going to use either glass splashbacks cut, or it will just be shower boards, and just not have any grout at all.
Yeah,
It's
so you
completely
can
wipeable.
use. It is common. So we sometimes use upstand. So kitchen worktop upstand, and then put some sort of backer board in it. But I just think it looks really ugly, backer boards. I think it looks, it is very durable, but it depends what look you're going for. So yeah, upcycled these doors. These were actually the original doors at the back of the long living room. So we painted those anthracite grey and put them on rollers to make it look very farm-like. This is
I rate those, mate. They look sick.
This is the sort of day sitting room. So nice sofa for people to sit if they want to have a chat. So there's no doorway, as you can see here, into the kitchen. So it's very social. And you will see here, this table can sit 6 people, so that if they wanted to have a roast, they could have one. Then on into the sort of cinema room snug. So we've got noise baffles on the rear, some cool uplight lights, and then a nice big TV and feature wall. This is where they, all them jump in and watch Love Island. This is actually quite a cool sofa company. It's called Nabru, Nabru, and it's laser cut MDF board made to measure sofas. And you can basically pick the dimension of the sofa almost to the millimeter, send off the plans and design how many side leg extension, corner areas. So you'll notice this corner doesn't have an arm on it, but this does. And you basically design a bespoke sofa. You pick the cushion finish, you pick the covers, and it's basically completely bespoke to this room. So if you actually have a look, the tolerance that we had in this room was literally like an inch either side to maximize the seating space in this room. The other great thing is all of their cushion covers are the same. So in 3 years, if someone's spilled coffee down this and I charge them their deposit, I can then go out and buy another set of cushion covers for the exact same sofa and change the color. We like to keep with carpets. and sofa finishes, we do a speckled grey. And the reason we do speckled is because you can't see stains as easily if it's just bold. And also it lasts a lot longer from a visuality perspective.
But the chances of you finding the tenant who spilt the coffee and they own up to it is difficult.
Yeah,
That's why I try and minimise communal spaces. But
yeah, so what we do is we say that we're going to charge everyone a sixth, or someone can own up to it, and it normally comes out the wash. So in here we love storage. So storage is really important. So behind this door we have our utility cupboard. So we've got all of our services in there, electricity board, etc., etc. We then also have more storage here, so 2 built-in wardrobes for mop, cereals, whatever it may be that's shared. So one side is for the cleaner and one side is for the tenants. Then this takes us to this new space that we've created, which is 2 ground floor bedrooms. As you can see, built-in wardrobe. That was actually, we were struggling to think where a wardrobe would go other than in this right corner or this left corner here. These were actually barn doors, which we then took off and put on the front of the garage to create this nice little bedroom.
It's lovely.
They wouldn't really use these doors, but it's quite nice to look out onto the sort of the rear patio. Standard ensuite, which don't need to probably spend too much time on. Cool. Now back into the other room.
Why did you go for a wall hung utility? It's a matter, even I'm sure they're all the same, but you've gone for a wall hung vanity unit rather than a floor standing, which is, in my opinion, cheaper and quicker to fit, and you get more internal storage for bleachers and storage. Was just because it looks a bit more premium with the wall hung?
Yeah, I mean, for me it depends on the room. We like the cleanability underneath these units. It just makes it a little bit easier. Also to mention, all of our beds are Ottoman beds. Some people don't like Ottoman beds. Ottoman beds are where you can, it's on a spring core and you can lift it up. But you've got a picture. This is someone's life and space. So if they don't have a lot of storage, it can get quite messy and be quite compromised. We fit USB sockets beside all the beds. And if you have a look at this handle here, we do battery key coded handles, which come with a cleaner's code, a landlord's code, and a tenant's code. So they set their own code like they would their mobile phone, and there's no keys for their front door, for their bedroom door, and they are obviously on door closers, then shut behind them, and you can actually disable the lock. So if they do feel comfortable, and a lot of our tenants do this, they just don't lock their rooms, and that is kind of the culture you want to go for with letting HMOs. Third bedroom, the third bedroom downstairs that we're going to look at, as you can see, and then a similar sort of style bathroom.
We should probably put the links of stuff we're using as well in the bottom of the comments in this video, right? And then people, if they want to use them, they can sort of find the links and stuff.
Yeah, mate.
More than happy to do so. So let's go look at the another little top tip: Ubiquiti Wi-Fi. We know that we get complaints on Wi-Fi quicker than we will for heating or hot water. So make sure you have really good Wi-Fi. We've got Zoom in Henley on Thames, so we can normally get about a gig upload and download, and our tenants absolutely love it. A lot of the people that are in our properties are gamers, and it is a game changer for them when they've got that latency of Wi-Fi, which they love. Cool. On to the next bedroom. You can actually see the price comparison thing that we put in our properties there. So $850 on the right-hand side, $1,370 on the left-hand side. So this is renting a one-bedroom flat, all the cost breakdown. And on the right-hand side is our cost breakdown for us. And we just give that to all the tenants that do the viewings to put them off renting a one-bed flat and to push them into renting our accommodation. Again, another Ottoman bed. This room's actually really nice big bay window. And we try and fit desks in all of our bedrooms so that our tenants can work from home, which is obviously a growing thing. Upstairs, this is where I hate Matterport. Some stairs are really difficult to go up.
It's not good knowing that.
Cool little shout out to my sister and putting in her art. She's got a little art business, which is cool.
Greenery was good.
Yeah, next bedroom upstairs with a feature wall, built-in wardrobe. This bedroom actually didn't really change. This bedroom is very, very similar to how it was before. Obviously, nice little desk space there. This bedroom and the one next door share this bathroom. So this is like the main bathroom of the property, and it's just a standard bathroom that you would, normally see. There's the Matterport kit, you can see. More storage in here. In pretty much all of our properties, we fit a pretty robust loft hatch with good actual ladder that comes down, because we fit all of our boilers and hot water cylinders in the loft. One, because it uses the space. Two, because if there is an issue with it, your maintenance person just needs access to the front door and not bedrooms, so you don't need to give bedroom notice to them coming and fixing a problem. That's a game changer, because if you sometimes have a difficult tenant saying, I've got, I don't want you to come in at this time or that time, and you need to get the hot water fixed, we like the independence of not having to disturb the tenants in their bedrooms. Again, more storage. You would see this is the bathroom that we added on. Very simple design again. And then into the last, second to last bedroom. Very simple stuff.
There's a very light, airy, fresh feel about this property. Does it feel overdone at all?
So interestingly, we really, really love not going for too many colours with everything that's fixed. So bedrooms, walls, carpets, everything that is going to be there forever. We try and keep it very neutral and white. And then we try and do all of our colours with our artwork, soft furnishing, throws, everything that you can change quite easily. So we try and keep it as we call it timeless style, because if you think about it, this room, if you changed these cushions, the artwork, and that throw, you could get a completely different era. Everything else is very, very simplistic and basic, and that's just how we like to try and keep our properties. Obviously, you notice there's carpet upstairs here, always hot towel rails on the same heating wet system as the boiler, because if you've got an electric ones, you'll be spending a fortune. Extractors that come on with the light switch. One thing that you might not have noticed in here, I'm trying to find it, it's probably on the shelf actually, this little sensor here. So this is our heating system, which is something that we actually think is a complete game changer in any HMO. It's a system called Inspired. You buy one unit and you create a pattern for the heating. These sensors do humidity and heat. So you can always tell in any location how the humidity and the heat is. So we normally fit these in every bedroom, every communal hallway, so that we can have a better control on the heating system. We notice that some tenants like their bedrooms hotter, some like them not so hot. When we catch humidity, we can get ahead of any damp issues before they become an issue. And that is an imperative system to fit into your property. The hardware is about 500 quid fitted. So about 300-400 quid for the system, and then getting obviously your plumber to fit it to your existing boiler system. But it's an absolute game changer for saving costs of heating. I think that's it, gang.
Yeah, lovely, mate. Lovely.
Fucking beautiful.
And that 18 grand a room, is that including all the furnishings as well? Like everything?
That's everything all in. This one was a bit cheaper. This one was a bit cheaper because I project managed it and brought in the trades, which I don't like doing. We have a really good relationship with our builder in Abingdon, and I just leave him to it now. There's little management that I do. He deals with the roofer, the plumber, the electrician, the plasterer. He deals with all that. This project I delivered ourselves, so we had all of those trades I was managing myself. So I probably saved 20 to 30% on that. But we average about 20k a bed is sort of where we're about in costs.
Lovely, mate.
Yeah, nice, nice. Mate. Nicely done. Go on, Stu.
Can we go next?
Let me just quickly. What everyone will want to know is the numbers.
Yeah,
of course.
Because we mentioned why HMOs are such great cash cows. Now, what I'll put this into context with is a development that we've delivered, and how, from a cash perspective, this is why we all love HMOs. So, bought for 500. Spent 100 grand in construction, and it's actually about £70,000 in other costs, so stamp duty, finance costs, legal costs. So we refinanced at £800,000, which means our all-in cost is 670. Our refinance value is at 800. The gross rent on this building is what I didn't mention is I split the garage in two, and I've rented two parts of the garage out. So I'm getting a revenue from the rear of the garage and the front of the garage for someone storing bikes. The
Nice.
gross rent is £62,500. The net rent is £24,000. So to put that into context of the development that I'm about to refer to, we own a block of 14 flats, which has got a 4-bedroom HMO on the top floor. The deal won 2 awards because it was so profitable. We bought for 1.5, spent 450 on it, and made £1.2 million equity profit. We refinanced it, and we've kept that building. That building's now worth £3.5 million, and it's bringing in £33,000 net on 14 flats. This HMO is bringing in £24,000 net, and it's only worth 800 grand. So it's worth less than about a fifth of the value of the big block of flats. It's obviously a lot more cost effective, a lot quicker to get into. So the cash flow is almost comparable to a £3.5 million development, as opposed to just one 6-bed HMO. And that's why we love it. The cash flow is so strong.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it is nuts when you compare the apartment schemes with but they're a different play, so they are a different play. But yeah, whenever you compare commercial to resi to a HMO, you go, I could just do 2 HMOs and have way less headache, and I'll make more
Completely
cash
agree.
flow. But that long
Completely agree.
term,
Yeah, so the numbers on that is we left in £54,000. It generates 24, which is a 44% ROI per year on the cash left in, which is the most important metric for us. So basically, once you've bought it, delivered it, and kept it for 2 years, the asset is pretty much paid your original investment back out, and you can go and do more. But not to acknowledge that you've also got quite a lot of equity deposit in there. So 25% of 800k is technically our profit that's sat in there.
Beautiful deal, mate. How regular are those deals for you in your area? Can you find quite a few of that? Like if you had to go out and find 10 of those and try to secure 10 in a month, assuming you had the war chest to do so, could you do it, or are they?
Yeah, so you could, and we are. We're hoping to, over the next 12 months, deliver about 10 HMOs. But you wouldn't be able to do that purely in Henley-on-Thames. Henley-on-Thames is kind of where we live, so it's like the odd deal comes through our existing network, and we go, you know what, that works well better as a HMO than a flip. And it's those sort of big cumbersome houses that aren't necessarily that pretty, but you can make them work. But obviously we operate in loads of different areas. So we actually operate in Caversham, Maidenhead, Henley-on-Thames and Abingdon. So across those 5 locations, we could deliver easily 10 a year.
Yeah.
But we're averaging about, this year, I think we're delivering, already secured 2. So 2, we've got, Wallingford. So we've got 2 in legals, 2 in delivery, and we're hoping to ramp that up to 4 more before the end of the year that are in legals or in acquisition.
Yeah,
but then we're also doing flips outside that. We've got several flips outside of the HMO in that particular business.
You're doing these for other investors, or are you doing them as a part of a JV?
So everything we're currently delivering is our own stuff, and we've only recently launched our portfolio builder. We've already onboarded 3, silent partners. When I say we launched our portfolio builder, we've already been portfolio building with another partner, but we've launched it to the market. So we've got 3 that want to deliver 2 each. That brings up to 6, and then 4 for ourselves. So 10 is our target over the next 12 months.
Beautiful. All to retain. That's retained HMOs.
All to retain, yeah.
Yeah, nice. And that feeds into central suites, doesn't it, where you also manage them?
Yes, exactly that. But all of the ones that we're delivering are actually equity JVs, so we'll still own half the asset.
I've just done exactly the same deal with an old an investor who just was doing debt for the one I'm going to quickly show. I've got to just show one that's we've built and one we're just about to buy, but we're just going to start stepping up as well because the market is just so good. Rather than putting all of our money in and just doing debt, we're finding that our debt investors actually want a slice of it now. So they just put 100% equity in and a rolling cash pot. We've got no banks to deal with. It's just buy it in cash, do the work. We'll pay them a coupon on there. On the development piece, which is reduced because we're paying half it because they own half the company, and we've just committed to doing 2 a year with one investor, just because they're just so easy to roll out as like a bit of a sideline hustle. It doesn't really take me away from my main focus, which is to do the bigger commercial to resi schemes. But yeah, lovely, mate. I'll quickly whip through. I haven't got a fancy Matterport to go through, but I will just share my screen, present. Again, share screen. Share screen. Entire screen.
Is this the quirky floor plan you're on about?
Yeah, I literally was just going to quickly show. First one was an existing one. So this one, just to give you an idea where it is, it's in Aldershot. It's that close to the train station, which is about a 3-minute walk, which is really handy when you've got HMOs. I always try and buy near HMOs, and then from the front, we bought this for 300 grand during COVID. It was a lovely size. I think it's about 2,500 square foot once we've done the loft and the extension. To show you some plans from the back of the building. So yeah, we banged this little extension on the rear, under permitted development, done the loft, turned it into what was a 4-bed, and then converted it into a 6-bed HMO. We haven't gone as fancy. I mean, this one has got living spaces, but this was again not going too crazy. I was more focused on making sure that these things, once it's done, this was done like 4 years ago now, and I haven't been there for years, to be honest. But the photos I see, and when people check in and check out, they're nice, clean spaces still, very little maintenance. And what people get is just a neutral space for them to do what the hell they want with it. This is the loft room, which we get about £1,000 a month for now. And you can see the little kitchenettes. I've got loads of little photos of these and how good they are just to sort of park into a space out the way. We used to put TVs in. We now just provide the brackets. They get their own
binoculars for that TV.
So, mate,
need binoculars for that TV.
Yeah, well, they got a sofa actually in front of the bed, which they put
that?
in because the space. Yeah, they design all that. And yeah, we normally do the Yale locks and the keys, but that handle is quite a good idea. The only thing I didn't like about that idea is that if the batteries go, does the tenant change the batteries, or are you constantly there changing batteries when they start beeping and stuff?
Yeah, we can change the batteries. I mean, it's different for you because you don't manage it in house. The keys aren't an issue for you, are they? They're for
no. I just pay a management company. But yeah, you get an idea of the sort of finish. We just sort of get a nice cut of professional photos done, and that gives them solar panels wherever possible. We put as many solar panels on, batteries and air source heat pumps, and then we put this little bit just for milk spillages and things that can come out of the fridge. But you can see these units are so good. They get a little microwave, or we actually start putting the ones now with little combi ovens in. No hobs, because then you've got more fire issues and stuff. But it's just for to keep the cheese, the ketchup, their cutlery and plates. And if they order a pizza or whatever, they want to sort of tidy up, they can put a little bin as well. If you can see to the left, we always try and extend it where we can, just they can have their own rubbish in their rooms. But they're almost like little studio flats, nice and clean. Not just neutral spaces, so it's not going to put off, whether it's going to be a female or a male of whatever age. They can sort of live here, and these are sort of back-to-back en suites with rooms behind. So that gives you an idea of this one. The other one I wanted to show you was the Chinese sex shop, which again, if I show you that on a map, which is which is where can you see my mouse?
Yep.
So we've got one here, I've got one here, and we've just bought a new one, which is here. So all very local to Aldershot train station, which is, about 50 minutes into Waterloo, on a direct line. This one was the next thing. So we've got these little shoe racks, which we obviously letter. So with our flat schemes, we always do them 1 to whatever. With our HMOs, we do A to E or A to F, and then F to G. This one's a 5-bed to the left, and it's just always done clockwise when you're looking down on a plan. So, fire brigade know which rooms are, and obviously we know if there's a problem, one guy, it's room F. So I know A to E is in the one to the left, and then F is the first door on this one. This one gone for more of a biscuity theme, just because grey. I'm just getting a bit bored looking at grey, and everything on Instagram is all grey. So we've gone for a bit of a neutral colour. This is called mid slack lime, I think the colour is. We've gone for tile backsplashes, and now we started putting in, rather than the last one where they had these open drawers, seeing people use them, they are literally filling it full of shit, and it just looks a bit untidy. So really easy for us to go for Howden's kitchen worktop above. This one's got the Dunelm, so it's got drawers built in and the shelves. And this one sort of, because it's a square room, right, we were saying, it just made sense for me to put a unit in there rather than build it in. And the box above is the saw pipe from the ensuite above. Gone for sort of tiled theme. I wasn't under major pressure to do this one, so I did go for tiling. But I think the next one we're going to do is going to be the panel boards, and all the ones next to the doors. You'll see these little screens, which is just audio visual for people. If they have got an Amazon delivery, they can just buzz them in from here, and they can come to their rooms. And now we just put the TV brackets up and don't provide the TV, because I only had like 3 phone calls from tenants saying, "Oh, my Netflix isn't working." It's because they haven't set it up properly. I just thought, no, we'll just provide the bracket, and they can put their own TV up now. These people are staying for a few years as well. These ones have got different sizes. There's the front door, got 2 on the ground floor, 2 on the first floor, and then 2 in the loft. Most of the time is the sort of configuration we do with the HMO 6 beds. And it gives you an idea. They're all very similar. You've got sort of breakfast bar for 2. We've just tried to keep the rooms as big as possible, give them a communal kitchen. But a lot of our tenants will just want to stay in their room. So as long as you give them 2 full height fridge freezers, just 1 oven and hob. I've never had any complaints about people saying I can't get on the hob. So that's why I only put 1 in. And this one we've put dishwashers in as well, because I did try and avoid that on the first one we looked at. Because I didn't want to have stacks and stacks of plates and someone not running the dishwasher, but so far so good. And again, we don't even do any of the final photos with all the plants and the cushions and stuff. We just literally made 1 bed up, which we then moved around, took the photos, and then that's it, done. And then this one upstairs at the back, because we had the extra space, we made the bedroom. The only reason we couldn't put a door on here is because the HMO license officer wanted it as 1 space, but ultimately we put a little kitchen in, and a bathroom is behind that one there. So yeah, decent sized shower, again, unobtrusive. And this one was in the loft at the front, good size. I think it's like £950 a month or £1,000 a month for this one. And then it's got little ensuite, and it's all about just trying to make the space work as best you can with this little bit of vinyl floor for spillages there. And then this is the one next door, because we refinanced both of them, but we bought the one we just went through first, and then this was the old Chinese shop which we turned into a 5-bed HMO, and then refinanced the 10-bedroom HMO. Ultimately, we bought the first one we looked at for 265 grand. We bought this one for about 305 grand. We spent about 900 grand on both of them, and we refinanced them at 1.5 million. Yeah, 1.5 million. On a 70% loan to value, got us about £1 million back out. We paid 100 grand's worth of fees to the mortgage company over a 5-year fixed, and that released all the equity. But because it was a commercial mortgage, we are paying 8.5%, which is crazy money. But these two bring us in around about 3.5 grand, 4 grand a month for both of them, which is not too bad. It's pretty much the lower limit, but that's paying 8.5% mortgage, and we're still trading through a very difficult time. So in 5 years' time, when interest rates have come down, the yields, property becomes a better investment. So if the yields have come down, the property yields from 7.5% will come down to 6.5%, which then increases the value. So it's a completely different game working in yields versus bricks and mortar. But this is an investment property. It's always going to be a HMO. But yeah, gives you an idea of the sort of what we do there. These ones are slightly smaller than we like to go for. This is the smallest one on the site, but it made sense to do it because it was next door. And then the one we're just about to buy is this one. Well, I say we're about to buy, we've exchanged already. So you can see it's here. It's actually on the corner here. It's a quick 3-4 minute walk to the train station, and it looks like this. So this was one we exchanged on a few months ago. It was completely off market. It was my business partner's accountant who's retiring. It's a block. It's in a town centre, which is sort of what you want for a HMO, and it's got minimum garden space. So it's this whole block here. We're paying 410 grand for it. We get all the parking as well. They've had a bit of a falling out with these people, which is why there's some boards behind these windows, because they didn't get planning for overlooking into this private courtyard. My first thing to do is to say, I'm going to rip these off if you just let me lose this, because the idea is to get 1 parking space in here, and then we've got 2 parking spaces here, which will all fit through this gap, and then we've got a little garden here. There's a basement on the lower floor, and then effectively a 6-bed HMO above. This is the first one I'm doing when I'm not doing the loft conversion. In hindsight, I should have really gone to the council and said, I want to turn this into a 4-bed house, done the hip to gable, done the full width dormer, got permission for a house, and then converted it into into C4, into a HMO. But actually looking at the numbers and converting the space that's there, it means we can get in and out in about 4 months very quickly.
It's quite a big building though. Can you not get 6 in that
property.
anyway?
Oh yeah, easy. I'm going to show you what we're now doing. But I originally was going to do the loft conversion, do the hip to gable, and then effectively, because the stairs come up through the spine, was to make this a 1-bed HMO flat, this to make a 1-bed. So we got 2 on each floor, circulating the staircase, with another one either side. The 2 in the loft would have been the smallest ones. But the council, when we done a pre-app, they said, you're going to overdevelop the site versus the parking. And because we were trying to go for a 1-bed with study, wink, wink, on the ground floor in the basement, we had to lose a parking space to give to them, and amenity space, 20 square meters outside, which meant we only have 3 parking spaces. 1 was for the flat and 2 were for the building above, which is the sort of planning policy. And the reason we have to go for planning is because we're in what's called an SPA, a special protected area, because there's a load of areas in the Thames Valley where birds nest, and you need to go for planning. It sort of supersedes permitted development rights. So they're all for it and they're pro bill, but we just got to pay about 50 grand to the council to bring this many people into this area. So that's the site. Really nice. We've got a gate here that closes and stuff, and we're just going to take this out, put some steps down into the back area. We're going to lose this door completely. The only problem is if they're going to run their bins, they're going to have to walk down the side of the building and then into the bins at the back, because we're going to lose the rear access, which is the only major issue on this. But this is what happens. So I send my architect in, he does a full set of drawings. I'll just zoom in on that quickly. So effectively, this is the lower basement flap. So the doors existing, the whole building's already there. And then we've actually got these two stills that run through the center, which is the spine wall, but they've been put in as stills, but they are only about 1.7 meters high, and that still runs all the way through. So our plan is to reinstate the concrete blocks. Let's put that back. Reinstate the concrete blocks, reuse the existing foundation, just do a quick foundation inspection, and then we can cut this piece of steel out in the middle here to create our walkway through. There'll be a living room, a bedroom. We're only going to put a shower room in here, and then another bedroom at the front, which is going to be a study. Get rid of that, and that will become an office with a window, which will be sort of a lower basement window, which goes actually in the front facade. I'll go back to the front here. This part of the building sticks out, which means in the basement there's going to be a window, which is going to look like this. It's going to look like this on the front. So we're going to just do timber, cement board. This window will be completely encased for sound and for fire, which will open on a restriction to get natural light and some ventilation in here. Plus, we're going to put one of those mechanical vent bedrooms in as well, just for airflow. But this will basically be raised up in the ceiling, and then the other two will be fixed either side, and then these two here will create openers for the room above. So it's technically easy to build. The only issue is it's a basement, and we want to make sure we have no damp and no issues. It doesn't look like it's damp there at the moment, but this one here was an old light well, which is a pavement light well, which has been filled with cement. So another big job, which is unforeseen, is to break that back out, and then in the front here we'll actually put back in the light well here, which I've got a quote for about 1,600 quid for us to recase this back in, put the concrete blocks in. You see them all over London, just to get some light into this kitchen here. You can see the old arch and stuff there that used to be there. But this building slopes back quite aggressively, so we'll be able to put in extra ventilation across here just to get more flow into the basement. But yeah, what happens is basically the architect will send over the plans. Oh, they're making any tweaks, send this back to him, and it's literally just what Jack showed really. We've got our own key. I'll just draw this up, and then he'll plot this. He'll finalise the drawings, and then we'll start having chats with the plumbers. And because of my experience, I'm already thinking about how do we get all the roots and all the runs out for soil pipes. So a lot of the skill is in actually looking at the space and trying to work out where things should go. For instance, I don't want to put anything in the floor because we need to upgrade this is the first floor or the ground floor. We need to do for sound and for fire. We need to create an hour fire break, because we're actually physically getting planning for a 6-bed HMO and a 1-bed with study flat. So we need to comply with all the regulations, but we don't want to put any soil pipes through this floor. So how do we do that? We're going to be bringing in this bathroom. So as you walk through the door, there'll be koi matting. We're going to take out this old wall, which will just open up this space. A few spot pendants with spots on them, because they're a lot cheaper to install than a load of spots. There's a nice living room at the front, which we're going to do nothing to this. We're just going to literally paint it and probably just plaster in and around the coving in this space. We'll create a 1-bed at the back here, which has been designed now to have the door moved. We'll reuse the existing entrance, brick this up, put a window in, so we're keeping the cost down for structure. We're building a stub wall here. This will fit a 900 by 900 shower tray, sink and toilet, or basin and toilet. And then the soil pipe will run straight out. You'll see on the plan that the back here has got the soil pipe, which is effectively the core all the way through the building. And then all we're going to do is going to put another soil pipe, which will probably come high level through this room at the back, and then either drop down and across, or we'll drop it down internally into a boxing if space permits, and then just run it low level across here. This part of the building's all coming down because it can be a window for the shower room lower level here. And then this one on the other side will be up behind the kitchen. These two get knocked into one for our kitchen, and then we'll have another soil pipe run from here across into here. So really straightforward for the plumbers, which will again ultimately keep the cost down. So we've got a bedroom here that will go out there, and then this ensuite for this bedroom will just run down the back of these kitchens and then straight across the back to the sewer pipe. And then in here, we're just going to put a new lintel in, block this door up because there's an existing door into this double door already. This will stay. We'll just get new doors, new fire doors. It should be the simplest and the quickest HMO we've ever done because there is no loft conversion and there's no extension, but it does still gives us the commercial rates. Put a new door here, and then it'll be a radiator, table, which again, it could be slightly bigger, slightly smaller, with a TV, and then full working kitchen. And then up the stairs, we'll go up into another 4 doors with a laundry room at the front. So this here will have usable, it'll be shared, it'll have washer dryer, and shelves built in. Waste will then run to this ensuite, or this ensuite. We'll work with a plumber and see which is the easiest and quickest route out. This one will then run down into the floor below, and then run across this way and out the back. So you'll have 2 plus the waste of the utility room on that one. And then you've got 2 at the back already, which is the ladies and gents toilets for this office. These are all stub walls, so we're going to knock these around. This is the smallest one on the site. So this wall here, I'm thinking of just moving over 250 mil to make these equal. And then I like to try and do square shower trays rather than quadrants wherever possible. It just makes them feel a bit bigger and a bit more space to shower. And there'll be basin toilet. This one, I really like to get the bed where you can walk around both sides, but unfortunately sometimes it just doesn't quite work. So sometimes we'll push it against the wall, but by pushing this wall back means I don't have the huge step. There's still a good amount of space to walk between the wardrobe and the bed, but they've all got their own kitchenettes in, and all the kitchens have been designed to be back to back to run into the shower and then out through the building to keep it easy for the plumber.
Hold the waste and everything,
and that's pretty much it, really. So yeah, really excited about this one. Now the numbers on this one are pretty insane because we should be looking at getting 850 a room as a fairly comfortable. Sometimes some of these, like this one here, might push 1,000, which is on the ground floor. Really good size here with a seating area. Full kitchen, full bigger wardrobe, nice living room. This one will probably get 850. The ones upstairs, these ones here, now there's a chance we could rent 2 of these as rooms, which we will probably do as a room share. Spoke to my letting agent yesterday and they were like, well, we could do 2, we could potentially do 3 under HMO regulations. We could do this whole thing under an AST to students because Farnham is just down the road, and if they pay £800, well, because they're going to have one shared bathroom, which I've never done before. Every one I've always done is with their own ensuite. So say you got £750 a room times 3, there could be £2,000, £2,200 a month coming out of this floor. There could be another $2,000 on this floor and another $4,000 on this floor. So, you're looking at plus another 6. The building could bring in around £8,000 a month. And we're looking at spending around 120 grand on this because we will do everything to a good standard. We'll do solar panels, we'll do batteries, we'll do an air source heat pumps. Like the OPEX cost to me are really important because then it's a simple maths equation. It's £8,000 a month. Times 12, the building could bring in effectively, saying 96 grand, but let's call it 90 grand. If you took 90 grand a year, divide that by 7.5%, which I know is a comfortable yield based on these type of sites. And I've already got the lender and I've got the valuer all lined up because they've done 2 previously. So working in one area and just focusing on previous data, it means it's 10 minutes for me to go, well, I've got 2 within 300 steps from here. And this is what I've already got mortgages on. This is what other values of have allowed for. So 7.5% works comfortable in this area. That values the building at about 1.2 million. So if you divide 1.2 million, which I'll divide it by 4, times it by 3, gives me a 900 grand payment out. So if I'm borrowing 900 grand, divide that by 100 and then times that by, let's call it 6%, because the market should have dropped in the next 6 months. That's a 54 grand a year mortgage payment on a 90 grand income stream. And that's obviously 900 grand out where we bought the whole building for 410. We're going to spend about 50 grand on Sang and Sam fees, which is the council to bring this many people into the area. And then we're looking at maybe 120, 150 grand spend. It doesn't really matter, to be honest. I'd rather just spend the money that's right. And if we've spent, 700 grand, so we could get 200 grand out of this deal and have a 54 grand a year mortgage on a 90 grand income, which is just a no-brainer. So it's 36 grand a month, 36 grand a year coming in. I say that it's not, because you've got to take off the heating bills, the energy and the council tax. So I'm aiming to, it doesn't really matter, 35 grand a year income with effectively 200 grand paid out. And this is the investor who's decided that wants to start doing 2 of these a year, because there is loads of opportunities if you know what you're looking for. And then I haven't got huge OPEX costs. I've got no garden to maintain. And I can also monetize the car parking spaces as well. So I'll probably get 80 quid a month for each car parking space. So really exciting. Some people get excited about.
Looks
Clothes
like
and
a
shopping,
cracking
I
deal.
get excited about. Yeah, it's a banger. And I think that the Chinese sex shop, they didn't do the numbers on that one, but that was about $1.5 million. I did, yeah, 90 grand, 900 out. So all money out, and 24 grand a year coming in. So I love these because they are very straightforward. That is no more than a light refurb. And in terms of my time, I'll probably spend 10 hours, 20 hours on it. I've just done a deal with Will, who's not actually involved in this on an equity piece. Will's my build director on the flats, but he's got a problem where he needs to take another 5 or 6 people on, and we don't want to take 5 or 6 people on and have them for 4 or 5 weeks and then have to get rid of them, because we're trying to build this culture and we don't want people to feel like they're turnover. So by running one of these sites or a couple of these sites alongside the big stuff means that I'd rather just pay him a management fee to take this on in his mind, and he knows he can put 3 people over there, 5 people over there, 2 people there, and just give us a bit more. Like when the second fix team are in, our metalwork team and our structural team that are brilliant, there is going to be 3 or 4 weeks where we're either just sucking out money to pay for them to keep them on board to be doing 30% capacity, or do we just bang them on here and go, right, build all the structure works out of metalwork, give them a full set of working drawings, and away we go. So
pipeline, baby. Pipeline.
That's exactly that. It's just we might as well scale it at the same time as doing a.
You need to click stop sharing at the bottom. Done it.
Cheers, mate.
Lovely little deal.
No Matterport, but
I'll do a quick Matterport walkthrough on this one, because we're basically going to go through the same stuff, but it might just be interesting to show the spec differences, or not even the spec differences. I think we're all kind of similar. You guys definitely do more on the infrastructure. It's hard for us to afford that up here because it doesn't get reflected in the end values as much. So we don't put on the solar and the air source heats and the underfloor heating and stuff like that yet. But in the future, as values go up, it may become more affordable. But I'll just show you how we finish these ones. Present. Just clean.
Stu, while he's doing that, do you think you'll ever bring HMO management in-house when you get to enough size?
We deal with 70 customers and their lofts at the moment. I mean, I know how much effort we put into our service-based business. I don't feel like I would need to bring that in-house and have more stress, where if I can pay 6, 7, 8% and just have someone else deal with it. I mean, if we had like 200 rooms and I had someone super passionate about setting their own business up and they wanted to do it and take on some equity and run the whole letting side, as long as it costs zero amount of my time and I could save 20 grand a year, then I'd probably look into it. But
there you go, YouTube. Anyone young and hungry and looking for an opportunity, there's one right there.
Steady dog. All right,
so 200 rooms yet. We've got about 60, so we've got a few more HMOs to build first.
Need to catch up, mate. Let's have a quick look.
You got about 400, didn't you, Rye?
It's got over 450 now. Over 450 units. I know, it's flying.
Decent growth, mate.
It is nuts. So here's the draft survey. So the draft plans are just basic plans. We don't really use these for anything. We take them into SketchUp and then create proper regs drawings out of them. But it just gives you a rough idea on the finished layout. Walk in the front door, it's a semi-detached. We did this extension on the side here. And then you get 2 nice big chunky bedrooms on the ground floor, this open plan kitchen living area. And then on the second floor, the draft missed this bit. This is a bathroom here as well. So then we got 3 more rooms. So all of this pretty much got knocked out. Maximizing space. That's the smallest bedroom in the property. All en suites. And then the stairs cut up into the loft. And then you've got a nice big loft bedroom as well, deep into the eaves with an ensuite. So there's not much detail on this plan, but it just gives you an idea of what we're about to walk through. Then I close that off. And then this is the draft camera, by the way. So just for anyone out there, if you're doing HMOs at scale or property at scale, period, it is well worth getting yourself a giraffe if you just want to do internal surveys and get these kind of 360 walkthroughs. Very useful. Can I full screen this? Don't think I can. Can you see this all right? Is that
it's
right?
fine, mate.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, sweet.
This is draft, is it? Not Matterport.
Do you
have to pay for a monthly subscription to keep this online as well, like Matterport, or do you just own the software and the rights?
You pay for the dashboard. So I'll just show you the dashboard. So here's all different sort of ones that we're constantly getting either in their start phase. So we'll always get one at the start of the project, and then we'll get one at the end of the project as well. And we pay 350 quid a month for the equipment, and that includes the dashboard like server and storage that you pay for as well. But if you do more than 5 surveys a month, then you pay an extra 50 quid. So we just take the hit on the 50 quid every now and then.
Right.
Why not? And then, so yeah, virtual tour. This is the outside, semi-detached, nice big chunky property. There's a big old park just over that road, and then bus stop right outside. And that's then straight into town centre train station up at the end of that road. And then inside, so we've started adding these sort of dado height rails throughout. Nice and easy. It's just a bit of wooded trim really, and then painted up, but it gives a nice effect. The stairs, the camera doesn't go underneath them, but there's a light well all the way to the roof that pulls down through the building, which is a nice little feature. Bedroom itself, there is now another desk in here. Just wasn't fitted by the time we filmed this. And you got nice little desk area with the bay, TV on the wall, little acoustic panel behind it, bed, little feature wall lights, and then ensuite. And
Lovely.
then we've done like a mix of colours throughout, so it kind of goes purple, green, just to add a bit of variety. So here's like one of the green rooms, but it's all very much the same thing. But here's what I'm going to love about the built-in wardrobes, because this is one of the last ones we'll do the built-in wardrobes in. This space here, we could have pulled out, an extra maybe 200 mil, probably 300 mil by the time we nudge that over a bit, and then build in a nice fixed wardrobe all the way to the ceiling, use up all that volumetric space, and have a rigid, deeper unit that is going to last a lot longer, because these things just rattle and they're going to break over time. So I'm looking forward to doing that. And then we've got this sort of mixed unit here. But again, this is going to get better because we're going to vertically stack the mini fridge, the drawers, and a microwave shelf next to our wardrobes on the future ones. So it's kind of a condensed unit. And then have the desk separately in the room, which is just a Howden's worktop. And then your ensuite for that one. Let's go to the living room area. This is where we opened up into the kitchen. Again, carried that dado feature around through the communals. Does give a nice sort of regal effect, but it's super cost effective to do. And then into the kitchen, done a nice little skylight, which the planners didn't like. Planners were like, don't like the skylight. I was like, fuck off. What's wrong with the skylight? It gives dimensional lighting. Beautiful. And then left this exposed brick here. Again, yeah, wall units up to the top. But we fucking need to go back and do this because we didn't actually treat this wall. So we need to go back and treat this wall.
Salt.
That got missed. Yeah, because all the salt pouring out of it. And then let's go up to the next floor. Upstairs. So up here now. Oh, I think you might be able to see this light well. Yeah, just about. So there's a Velux up there feeding light all the way down. If you can add those little features in the HMOs, which we didn't prioritize before, we just do the cost-effective thing. But it's so worth it. Once it's finished, you go, oh, just brings in all this nice daylight. We don't do the PIR sensors anymore. We just have a combined unit. So that's some of them are emergency lights, sensor lights, and the sensor built into one, which is just that bit easier to install. Then up here, same thing again. This is a small bedroom. Try and standardize each room so they've all got the same sort of stuff in them. Got the gunmetal black switches as well. Just give it a little bit more nicety. And then just bang into each bedroom.
I mean, who would not want to live like this? If I was 23 and I was single, I'd come out of uni. I mean, who would not want to live in a
Completely
sort
agree.
of, they all live in shared dens and shared rooms and stuff at uni. And they're just great spaces.
I mean, the reason Rob and I set up the business was because we both lived in HMOs at uni, and both of our accommodation was expensive and shit. Which is, in what other industry is your necessity? And when you're at uni, you got to be really on it. You got to go to the estate agents, go view 10 properties, and all 9 of them are gone before you've even gone and viewed them. Then you've got that scare tactic, and then you end up taking something that's got mold in the bay window. Living room without natural light, and it's just needed.
Mate, I still live in shared accommodation. Like me and Sonny both live here, and Robbie lived here before that, and I'll probably live with Sonny until such time I go, right, I'll get a place with the missus. I mean, don't get me wrong, I rent the house and Sonny lives here with me, but it's still like I still would rather share, and obviously it saves on Sonny's overhead as well. So it's just a frugal way to live, social. I've always got someone here, don't feel lonely. Like, I'm all for it. It's fucking wicked.
Yeah, me
so,
too.
This is the top floor. That's that Velux feeding down. And then the loft room, a bit quirky. and it wasn't fully finished by the time we're here. There are 2 leg stands here now, his and hers desk. There's a rail that's gone into there. The quirky thing with these kind of rooms is the getting that usable space out of the eaves. So in hindsight, we would have done a built-in unit here, but we weren't doing the built-in wardrobes at that point. We got the ensuite in fine in the end. Double Velux rather than just do one above the purling or one below, just staggering them up and down, which I stole from you, Stuart, putting 2 in, just so you have that full length stretch. I think it looks much nicer than it.
I like, to be honest, I do lofts all the time. I like that little wall. I know you've had to get the bed because you couldn't have got it under the eaves. The other thing with Veluxes is if we try and put the bed under the eaves and then use the Veluxes either side of the bed because it gives you like another 8-9 inches of head height. So you can, when you get in out of bed, you don't sit on the pillars, you sit about a third down. So if you position the bed, the height of the headboard, and then the Veluxes, you're gaining that extra sort of 2 foot of usable space for passageways or for stuff. So, but the idea of actually having it where you got the TV on one side and then that wall that comes out into the centre was quite a cool little touch when I watched your last vlog or whenever that was when I watched it. It was good.
Yeah, and the vertical rads as well were quite a game changer. So vertical rads, just for anyone out there doing rads, I just think vertical rads, you save a lot more wall space and you can generally fit them in more quirky areas. Try and back
behind doors.
Behind doors onto the ensuite to share the water feeds without like move them around the room. And so under the windows is another place if you do want to do the low lying ones. But vertical rads, you'll just find you'll get more usable wall space for furniture.
Or underfloor heating.
Or
so if we go for if the budget permits, we'll go for an overlay system, and then you've just got constant 20 degrees, 22, 23 degrees over the whole floor. It is a bit of a ball ache because you've got to bring more trades in, you've got to get latex in, get plumbers in to do prep stuff. But if the time permits and the cost is there, I'd highly recommend that because you get the full wall to do whatever you want then. So then you can put in the kitchen where the radiator was going or the wardrobe where the kitchen was going. Just gives you more options on the creative stuff. But that was awesome, Jack? Boys. I enjoyed that one.
Jack, do you put in the solar as well?
We haven't today, but we've started looking at it. I mean, I get solar with batteries, but England's so shit for light.
Sun,
no, yesterday I got 5.1 kilowatts. I was with my electrician, so I haven't been out with him. We went for lunch, and because he's got it all on his app, so he can actually maintain and manage all the internet, all the connections, everything from his phone. So like 6:30 on a Friday, he'll deal with the internet issue without me even knowing about it. And he was showing me yesterday, it was an overcast day that was warm, a bit like today, grey, and we still got like 5.6 out of 6.1 kilowatts of energy being used for that particular day. I was like, wow, so it's costing me 1 kilowatt of energy for 6 people, and 5 of them are working from home. So they're so advanced now. I would 100% for your OPEX costs.
But I mean, we are obviously supposed to be in the height of the summer.
Yeah, but it's got thick cloud. It's done on daylight. Well worth looking into, mate.
But that was a quirky episode. So anyone who's listened to this episode, you might have got a bit bored because we're mostly showing screens. So I'll actually do a separate intro for this as well, just so Sean can put that at the start, just to warn anyone watching. But yeah, thanks for listening. Episode 19 done. We release these podcasts every Thursday at 5:30 a.m. on Instagram, or not on Instagram, on Spotify and YouTube. So check them out. We're going up in followers and subscribers quite nicely now. It's starting to get a bit more pace on it, which is nice to see. And next week we'll have Big D back, and we'll dive into some more conventional topics that we usually sort of tackle. Nothing crazy to update on in the market. Hopefully, I think when's the next base rate? That is going to be in a month's time.
September 19th, I think, is when the Fed's doing it. Come on, 50 basis points. I think that's a 25% chance of a 50 basis point hike drop. So it's going to be exciting to watch. But ultimately, as well, if anyone knows of anyone who you think would be quite good to bring on, I think we need to sort of stack up a few people, a few ideas, a few names that would be complementary to our skill set, and to sort of quiz them on their business and stuff. I think
it'd be cool to bring someone on as well who's maybe earlier in their journey and wants some advice on a project or one they're looking at or one they're going through at the moment, and we could just hive mind ideas on this podcast. I think that could be quite a cool thing to do. So if anyone out there wants to do
site,
that,
and it doesn't have to be a site that we can put it out sort of 3 or 4 weeks later as well. So if you are going through like a legal process, or you've got an issue you're about to exchange on it, and you don't want to go out to the world This world really isn't as much as people still. You sort of think that I'm working on this deal, can't tell anyone about it. The fact is that everyone's in different cycles of their money and different things and on different paths and geographical locations. It's a real nice industry to be in where no one's going to just steal your idea and run with it. I think that if you wanted to bring a deal you're looking to exchange, or you're in legals, or you've got a real worry about it, and you're thinking, having doubts about completing on it, then bring it to us. We'll do a bit of a jump on it and see if it's the right or wrong deal for you. So be up for that.
I think
definitely.
Not only would that be good content, I think it'd actually be good dynamic for all of us, because some of us might say contradictory ideas with different opinions and views. So it could be good content as well. But thanks for listening, guys. Big love, and we'll see you for episode 20. Peace.
With Dorian.
Ground up sound. Ooh, yeah. Real estate deal. We lay